And we're live on YouTube. For those on YouTube, if you want to ask any questions, please download our app, Meditation Live, on Android or iOS, and you can chat in your questions on the app. So for those who are joining the class, we have a few folks here. The way Meditation Live works, we bring in an expert. Today we have Pandit Dasa. We're going to talk about his life's journey. We're going to talk about his book, The Urban Monk. And during the session, feel free to ask questions. I mean, the whole idea here is we're live. We are here for you to talk about, how you can apply mindfulness into your lives. So feel free to ask questions along the way. We have a Q&A box, and you can queue the questions in and we'll answer them as we get to them. So let's get started. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Meditation Live. We're a live platform, and we do these amazing sessions a few times a day where we have Pandit here with us. Pandit's been with us for a few months now, and we're very honored to have you, Pandit. Today we're doing something special. We're actually going to talk about Pandit's book, The Urban Monk, and we're going to talk about his journey on how he became a monk and all the wisdom that he's gathered through the journey.
Thank you. I'm really, really happy to be here. Should we go ahead and begin with a short meditation?
A quick introduction, Pandit, and then let's do a short meditation.
Okay, so my name is Pandit Dasa, and so now I am a mindful leadership expert. I travel around the US speaking in companies on the topics of mindful leadership and creating a mindful workplace culture. Prior to this, I was a monk in New York City for 15 years, and this is the book we're going to be talking about today, is Urban Monk. That's me right there standing on the rooftop of our building on the Lower East Side of New York. So no better place to live as a monk than New York City. Luckily, it was the East Village, so it still had some kind of a village environment, a village vibe to it, a very different one than we can probably expect. But yeah, I'm really happy to be with you guys today again and share some of the messages from my book, and look forward to an engaging Q&A with everyone.
Awesome. Thank you, Pandit. So again, Pandit's here. He's got an amazing book. We're going to post this on YouTube with the link for the book. So if you want to download the book, you can do that there. One of you will get a free copy on Meditation Live. So whosoever puts their email address first on the chat box gets a free copy. So feel free to do that, and we'll send you an additional copy. Pandit, why don't we start with a short meditation, and then we'll get going with the book experts.
Okay, that sounds great. So let's go ahead and close our eyes for a short moment. Sit comfortably and put your feet flat on the floor, and focus all of your attention and awareness to the weight of your feet pushing down into the floor. Now feel the weight of your body pushing down into the seat or cushion that you're sitting on. And this is just allowing us to come into the present moment. Just become aware of your hands and fingers and how they're situated. So let's go ahead and take a few deep breaths. And please breathe in such a way that you fill your lungs completely, expanding your lungs. And as you exhale, thoroughly and completely empty out your lungs. Take 2 more deep breaths like this. And with each inhalation, you should be able to take in a little bit more breath. Your lungs have had a chance to expand, and then you exhale thoroughly and completely. Now see if you can breathe in and out just through your nasal passages. Go ahead and take 3 deep breaths in, feeling the cool breath going in through your nasal passages, filling your lungs completely. And as you exhale, completely empty out your lungs. A couple more breaths like this, staying focused just on the breath. When I count to 3, we're going to take our final deep breath in. And with the exhalation, we're going to breathe out any thoughts and anxieties that we may be holding in our mind. So on the count of 3, 2, 1, deep breath in, fill your lungs completely. And as you exhale, breathe out any tension, idea, stress that you're holding in your mind, emptying your mind out, even if it's just for a few seconds. Just breathe it out. Release the tension in your mind, your face, your shoulders, your neck, relaxing, bringing your awareness to your eyes. You can slowly and gradually begin to open your eyes.
Thank you, Pandit. Welcome back, everyone. I want to actually start with, in the book, we're going to talk about Albert Monk today. And in the early part of the book, one of your friends suggests that you should write the book, and I'm so thankful that he did. It's a highly recommended. It's honest, it's inspiring, and it's full of wisdom. And it's a very hard to drop the book. Once you start reading it, you're going to get stuck with it, and you're going to try to finish it right away. I'm halfway through, so we're going to do the first half of the book today, and hopefully in a week or so, we're going to do the next half of the book. So I want to do some quotes, Pandit, from your book, and I would love for you to elaborate on the quotes and tell us what you were thinking when you were writing the book. The first one is, I guess the sheer necessity allows one to accomplish things that would otherwise feel impossible.
Yeah, I think that when if you've dropped your keys and it's late at night and you need to get into your house, you're going to look for them with a certain intensity that you may not otherwise. Like if you have to go to work, you're like, well, I'll just go to work. Maybe I'll figure it out later. But it's late at night. You've dropped your keys. So there's a necessity for you to get inside the house. And imagine it's raining outside and everything like that. You need to get inside. So that necessity is really going to push us to look in a way that we otherwise won't. And so, life is going to create these necessities for us to go deeper within ourselves. Because sometimes, not sometimes, most of the time when life is good, moving along smoothly, we usually don't want to look further inward into ourselves to figure out how can I improve, what can I do better? Because when money is flowing and our health is good and relationships good, it's like, I've done everything right, everything's great. But there's always a way to do things better. There's always a possibility of improving our health, improving our spiritual life, improving our relationships. And we don't think about that until something breaks down. So I think those necessities are created and sent into our life so to get us out of the comfort zone, to help us to grow and go literally inward and start to sort of excavate a little further in a way that we otherwise wouldn't excavate.
And so for you, as you were growing up in America, your father had a very successful business. You had everything provided to you. And then things didn't go in the right direction for your dad's business. You had to go to Eastern Europe, live a very different life, realize your own potential. There were necessities that came into your life. And then you basically came back to America, and he built the business back again. You got into your feet again. Tell me when you felt the necessity to actually explore spirituality or meditation.
Well, that necessity really arose when I was sitting in post-communist Bulgaria in 1993. And for those who don't have an experience of what that is like, living in a post-communist country right after it came out of communism, for me, it felt like it was about 40, 50 years behind in technology. And nobody spoke English. Everything on TV was in the local language only. The cab drivers didn't speak English. The phone operators didn't speak English. I had to literally walk a mile to the post office to make an international call. Just imagine that. That sounds like out of the 50s or 60s, who knows, So that's the life I was living. And there was also no entertainment for me available. Like things I loved doing, grew up doing was playing basketball, tennis, volleyball, boogie boarding in the ocean. I couldn't do any of that. None of that was available. So just imagine your life turns around in such a way that it's almost like an episode out of the Twilight Zone, for those of you who've seen that. It really felt like I was transported from this planet to another and dropped there, and you wake up and you realize, hey, no one's speaking my language. Oh, I turn on the TV, it's a foreign language. So it really did feel like an episode out of the Twilight Zone. And it was really sort of, life had pulled a rug out from underneath me, and I wasn't prepared for that. And usually we aren't. and I kind of fell on my flat on my face. And at that point, I realized that, there was the trauma of losing all that we had in LA, multi-million-dollar business, beautiful home, friends, and just everything comfortable and, recognizable to me was gone. And now when I was sitting in Bulgaria, I was trying to really figure out what this meant for me. And, when we go through a difficult situation, we ask ourselves the question, why is this happening to me? What did I do to deserve this? So I started asking that question very seriously. And so it was these situations that ultimately led me to, meditating and reading some spiritual texts of India that I had with me, and which I'd never cared to read really before. And these were the situations, this upheaval, this turbulence, this earthquake in my life is what sort of prompted me. Because one thing I realized was that there's nothing in life is permanent. Because according to all my friends and everything else, we were living the ideal life that everybody would want to live. I mean, we had a house on the hill, pool, jacuzzi, waterfall. 6-bedroom house for 3 of us. And, brand new car at the age of 16, like everything. So when it was all gone, that's when I realized nothing in life is permanent, and that anything and everything can be taken away without much notice. And then that made me think about, well, if everything is really temporary, then what's the point of really pursuing anything when you don't know when it's going to be taken away? And that was the beginning of, so those questions were the beginning of my own spiritual journey, which will ultimately lead to me becoming a monk for 15 years.
That's amazing. I would encourage the audience to prepare some hard questions to ask Pandit. This is going to be a very deep session. We're going to explore questions that we've all asked ourselves. Why is there suffering? Why is it happening to me? I think you said it very beautifully. I have a question that I want to ask, and I'm going to sort of combine it with one of the phrases from your book. Is it possible that one needs a certain frame of mind in order to grasp spiritual truths? And you kind of mentioned, as you were going through your ups and downs, maybe the frame of mind became more clearer that the happiness was not going to last, and everything doesn't last. But let me ask you something completely opposite of that. If you weren't faced with a situation and you're going through life, everything is coasting and nothing is really bad or really good, and it turns out your life is about to be over, and you actually never explored spirituality or never explored your own self, what should someone do to create an environment where they're forced to challenge themselves to do better? It's for you, and even for me and my wife, I got burnt out. So I went into meditation, spirituality. I learned that I needed something to find balance. And you went through many situations, but what would you tell people that are actually not going through acute suffering to say, yes, you still should think about your experiences?
So, yeah, I think for the most part, there's some kind of a struggle in life does propel one into that direction, but it doesn't always have to be. There could be some folks that are just inward questioning the purpose of life, even though things are going well. But they're wise enough to see that there's many people who are struggling, and that there are many people who could have the things that they had. They just didn't get that break. So how did they get the break? Did they do something to deserve the break, or did it just kind of show up by chance? Because, I think about this constantly. I'm like, everything I'm doing, there's 1,000 people out there that can do it much better than I can. I'm positive about that. There's hundreds of thousands of people out there that can do exactly what I'm doing and probably much better at it. It just all depends on sort of those breaks in your karma and where you're supposed to be, sort of. So, I think it really has to be depending on where one is at inward and internally, that's going to spark this kind of a thing. I don't know if you can really do something specific other than just observe life and just realize that things are unpredictable in life. And I think just that realization, at any moment, our health could go, our intellect could go, one little twitch in our brain or in our body, we could become helpless. So when you realize that, it should lead to a certain amount of humility. So I think humility is a frame of mind that's needed, because you could be the wealthiest person in the world, and all of a sudden something happens and boom, it could literally be gone.
That's
It
very
could be
well.
gone.
Yeah.
Anything could be gone. So that just that reflection is a powerful, I think, motivating tool. So the thing is, I think that people who everything is going well, to maybe just reflect on this idea, not to get depressed by it, oh my God, and go crazy over, but like, it's just a fact of life. And
Well,
facts of life.
yeah, I don't actually know anybody who doesn't go through bad times. So I think it's more of a hypothetical question. I think everybody goes through,
Yeah.
breakups or loss of loved ones. I mean, there's events that are going to happen in life that are just going to happen.
Yeah.
There's no way around it. So I want to quote you another quote that relates to this conversation. You said, "We don't want happiness to end, but it inevitably will. Sometimes happiness can come unexpectedly." So elaborate on that, please.
Yeah. So one of the main spiritual texts, which is called the Bhagavad Gita, comes from India. It says that happiness and distress are like the summer and winter seasons. Some of us hate the winter. I don't hate it, but I don't like it a lot. I'm living on the East Coast. I have to kind of learn to deal with it. Some of us may not, love the summer, and you end up living in Florida or something. So, but the point is that in most places, summer and winter come and go. You don't want it to come, but it's going to show up anyways. Sometimes, bad news is going to just show up, and sometimes good news is just going to show up. And you don't want the bad news to show up, but it shows up. You don't want you're not expecting the good sometimes, and it shows up anyways. So the point behind that is that we want to sort of be equipoised or balanced in our mind so happiness and distress in life, they're going to come and go. It's a cycle. Nothing's going to stay forever. There's no such thing. Nothing's going to stay forever. It is cyclical. So when something difficult and negative is coming into and is entered into our life, to know, first of all, that it's going to pass, accept that it's going to come, and be ready for it. Like if you hear the weatherman saying, it's going to be raining, it's going to be stormy, it's going to be windy. So you walk out with an umbrella and a raincoat. You prepare and you walk out accordingly. Things are going good, not again to be depressed by, but know that, hey, there might be something coming around the corner. And let me just be prepared, because that's just how life is. It's going to happen. And so remain balanced and not let the happiness distract, because both of those things are two sides of the same coin. How is it? Because happiness also distracts us from the present moment. Something good happens, and you start daydreaming, oh, I could do this, now I can do this. You're no longer in the present. You might be driving and you could have an accident because you started daydreaming because you heard some good news. Something bad happens, same thing, your mind goes in the other direction. Oh my God, now this happened. Oh my God, I could lose my family. Oh my gosh, what's going to happen? So both of them take you away from the present and go in this direction. So the point is that if we can learn, which is not simple, and I don't want to make it sound like, yeah, I'm always equipoised and always calm. No, that's not the case. If we can be more sort of that balance in the middle during both of these, we can make the most out of each situation. And that also means that eventually we want to come to a point where we're feeling grateful for the happy, and we're also feeling grateful for the negative, because it's not really a negative. It's just a test. It's almost like saying, like, I have a test in class today. Oh, that's a horrible thing. No, without that, you're not growing any. You're not studying at all without that test. So that difficult moment is actually a more important part of our life than the happy, because in the happiness, we usually don't do much growing at all. We're just enjoying and partying. There's not a whole lot of growth in that. Nothing wrong with enjoying happiness. But again, to be grateful during both is really the frame of mind I think we want to try and develop.
That's very well said. And I think in your book, you talk a lot about learning from pain. And I want to actually take that subject maybe in our next session. When you talked about weather, it's funny. My wife and I, we used to live in New York City. We moved to Miami last year. And now there's a hurricane coming. So like, you can't escape the good and bad. It's just going to be.
Can't. You can't. There's no escaping it on this planet, at least.
Yeah. So we have a question from someone. It's related to this conversation. There's a lot of pressure to compete in the material world. How can we remind ourselves that there's more to life than material accomplishments? How do we let go of the competition?
So So first of all, I think there's nothing, I'm going to use the word ambition here. I think that's sort of synonymous with competition and competitiveness. I don't think there's anything wrong with being ambitious and wanting to succeed. I think there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. It's just more in our mindset. If we're competing with someone else and our mindset is hoping that they fail, that's, I think, a negative aspect of being competitive. If you're really competitive and you want to outdo someone else because of your competitive nature, fine, just don't wish them well. Don't wish them negative. Just don't have any ill feelings towards them. Wish them more success, because if they have more success, now you have more motivation to achieve more success, which means you'll succeed more than you would have originally wanted to. But it doesn't mean that we should like think, oh gosh, I really hope they file bankruptcy. I hope they lose all their clients. I hope their app crashes or something, so ours does really well. We don't want to go into that space. If you naturally are competitive, that's fine. And if you succeed as a result of your competition, share that success with others. Teach others how to be successful. Donate your time to someone else to help them succeed. So be as competitive as you want. Use the success from that competition to help others become successful, and don't wish ill for your competition. And I think that could be a very healthy way to be competitive and ambitious in this world.
I think that's the best explanation I've heard so far, and we will apply it at Meditation Live as well as we think about. So the person is saying, awesome, thank you. I think it was really incredible. We are out of time, and I have so many questions to ask, but I think we're going to have to do this more often, Pandit. For those attending, it's 20-minute sessions only. We're going to do this again. We promise you there's a lot more to talk about from the book and Pandit's experiences. Pandit, do you want to just close us out with a quick breath or namaste, and then we'll see you again soon.
Yeah, sure. So let's go ahead and once again, close your eyes and take another deep breath in, really filling your lungs completely, and exhaling. And bring your awareness into the region of your heart. And take a moment to feel grateful for some of the positive things that are happening in your life. And take a moment to also feel grateful for one hardship that you experienced. But also try to reflect on what you learned from that hardship and how you've grown and matured from that hardship. Now take a moment to wish your friends and family success in their endeavors. Even if there's folks that you don't see eye to eye with, try to wish them well in their endeavors as well. And go ahead, take another deep breath in and exhale. And gently and slowly begin to open your eyes. And thank you so much for joining this session. And I look forward to doing another one again very soon. Namaste.
Namaste. Thank you, Pandit.